We're here to empower high-income earners to gain back control of your time through financial independence and stop trading your time for money and start letting your money work harder for you.
And hey, if you want to meet other high-income earners on their FIRE journey, join our High Income Earners FIRE Facebook group. Every month, we'll have guest speakers and we'll share about what our team is currently working on and allow you to share what you are working on with other high-income earners.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to High Income Earners FIRE podcast. I am your co-host, Cody Ye. And last episode, we had our co-host Aline Prack as a guest speaker. Finally have some female version, but today we have a power couple. So we promise that we have a really good conversation. And this power couple has been, started their real estate investing in 2015, but really started with a strategy in 2019. And since then, they scaled it to more than 26 plus unit. So today we're going to talk about their journey and how were they able to do that and talk a little bit about short-term rental. So without further ado, let's welcome Brandon and Carol.
Yeah. Hey, Cody. How are you? Thanks for having us.
It's great. We are filming on Good Friday?
Good Friday,
we are. Yes.
So we're going to make it super Good Friday with this episode.
Exactly.
We'll try. We'll do our best.
So can you give us a quick intro of how you guys got into real estate in 2015 and what happened between 2015 to 2019? And then we'll go into what happened after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we bought our first investment property. It was a condo. I think most people start there because it's just easy maintenance. Didn't really know anything about it. It was just what our parents had told us, like, hey, you just put your money in real estate. And we're like, okay. But we actually bought that with just 5% down. And then we rented that out for a little bit. We sold that to buy what we thought would be our forever home. And we were sitting on this property. This was in 2017. We had some unfortunate life situations. So my grandma was visiting from Colombia. She got very ill, and unfortunately, her expenses were not covered through insurance. And so we had to spend a significant amount of our life savings for like our family's life savings for that. And we just realized, especially as an only child, like how vulnerable we were to the future and like our savings and all of that. Right. So for us, it was very important to come up with an alternative plan because as an only child, I'm like, if this were to happen to my parents, like I would never be able to afford it.
It's like Tiger King. I'll never financially recover from this.
Exactly. The house at the time was great, but quite frankly, with our salaries and stuff, it made us very house poor. So we made the decision, you know what, like this isn't for us. We're going to sell. Then basically,
that's right at the hype, right? 2017, a small hype.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lesson learned with that too.
Yeah. So we actually ended up selling right around like when we decided to go full into real estate, and it was right around COVID as well. So we went through the cycle of like the whole panic selling and everything. We made a great profit, so we were able to take that into duplex conversions and basically do the BRRRR model and repeat from there. But so we went through that cycle, went through the panic cycle, and we were able to invest that into our first BRRRR property in Hamilton. We started house hacking as well, which really helped with our living costs, and then basically rinsed and repeat all the way to where we are now.
So 2019, you sold that condo, or maybe early 2020.
Yeah, 2017.
We sold the condo in 2017.
Yeah.
And by 2019, how many units do you guys have? I know it's not just a game of numbers.
Just our house.
The two.
Okay.
We had the one in the Hamilton.
We bought that in end of 2019.
So we had that in 2019. We had one duplex in Hamilton in 2019.
So do you guys convert it yourself? The duplex? Okay.
Yeah.
Roughly how much do you guys spend on that conversion?
So at the time, oh man, this pains me now with the prices in real estate now in Hamilton, but we bought the property for under $500K.
Yeah.
And it was actually mismarketed. It already had a basement suite, an in-law suite.
Wow.
So we only had to spend about, with holding costs and everything, about $150K to
convert
make it to make it like fully usable and modernize it and a great living space for tenants. So, and then when we refinanced it refinanced for close to $800,000
in 2019.
Yeah, well, we finished it in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Later in 2020. Yeah, exactly.
That was like 8 months after. It took us about 8 months to complete that project.
Yeah,
and
it took a long time.
So you put in 150. Well, and then you refi, you bought it for, 400 something, below half a mil. So, you spend 150, reappraise at 800K, you pull out probably all the money for renovation and down payment, right?
Yeah.
Then how do you guys go from there then?
Yeah. So basically we just reused those funds. We first of all, started the house hacking. So we had to do some renovations on our own property. Again, BRRRR'd that again. So we kept basically recycling the same down payment and renovation. How
do you guys house hack? Is that where you guys live right now with the nice background?
Yeah, it is. We're no longer house hacking anymore. But yeah, we were. So it's this
heard
house.
The new baby is coming.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. With the family growing and whatnot, there was some changes. So we're actually house hacking with some family, and obviously the pandemic changed a lot of things, right? A lot of dynamics. And for them, they were ready to go on an adventure in Mexico, and for us, we were ready and willing to take over the house and grow our family here. So yeah, so it is this house that we're house hacking, but no longer.
Oh, nice. And how were you guys house hacking? Just kind of living upstairs, rent out the basement kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. It's a side split, like a four side split. So part of
4-level side split.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
nice
part
one.
of the other unit is actually above ground, which is great. So we always have that option there if we wanted to rent it out as well. But thankfully, financially, we can afford to not do that right now. And with little ones, it makes it easier because you don't want to have to worry about, your kids screaming and bugging the tenants on the other side, right? So. You mentioned if I sound out of breath or I'm very pregnant. I'm very passionate about this topics as well, but just so that listeners know why I might
don't push too hard. Okay. Don't push too
exactly.
hard. We don't want a surprise on this podcast.
Not today. We're not ready.
So you guys, all the way up to now, full BRRRR, and then, pull all the money, put some money into your house hacking. And how do you guys grow from there? Between 1 to 4 unit to now 26 plus unit, 3-4 years later.
Yeah. So, part of it was, we shared our journey from very early on. We got coaches very early on that told us, the importance of setting the right systems in place. It does help that there's 2 of us, right? So we were able to divide and conquer a lot of really important tasks. We spent a lot of time building relationships early on that allowed us to not be super hands-on on every project, and also allowed us to go from, 8 months that it took on the first project to starting doing projects within 3 months or so. And all of those things combined, we were able to attract a lot of JV partners as well.
So it's 2 JV partners.
Yeah. So we have several JV partners, repeat JV partners, but some of our properties we were able to get through that. Just attracting them through sharing our journey. And so basically take advantage of the economies of scale and our resources. Yeah,
I was going to say, I think the biggest thing that we did here was after that first project, we really looked at each other and analyzed what we went through, right? We really reflected on, okay, how can we do this faster, better, more affordable? How can we scale this? And so that's when we started looking at bringing on a mentor and a coach. And so that's exactly what we did. And right away, what was great is that we really connected with this coach and we let them know we want to actually build a business here, right? We want to have the right foundations. We're not one of these people that just want to come in here and show off online and buy all these properties. We want to build an actual solid business that we can, like Carol was saying, we're going to take these steps and replicate it. So we've got hyper systematized. We put the process and strategies in place. And then that's when we really started taking off, was thinking about this as a business and not just an investment vehicle, but really what is Medalo Properties going to be? Yeah,
the system definitely really helped. You kind of take a step back, build a foundation. Sometimes you're not going anywhere, but that's what allows you to actually scale.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So
some people try to do that too fast and then get over leveraged and, it doesn't work out. They don't get to scale as fast as they want to. And that's something that we were definitely focused on. Yeah. We wanted to do this, condense the time that it would normally take anybody to do this on their own. And so we were looking at resources, building relationships, and just talking to a lot of people and understanding how they're doing this as well.
And out of the 26 units, what type of properties are they?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of them are duplexes. Later on in our journey, we started doing triplexes and actually a fourplex conversion as well in Alberta. And yeah, some of them we actually one of them we converted to an Airbnb. We wanted to start exploring that field. It's something that we're really passionate about, but with the little one coming, we've put on hold for a little bit, and then we're going to continue to ramp up in about 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think it's really important to note that for us, like the single family home conversions, or the sticking to the duplex, triplex, fourplexes, like for us, that was really our bread and butter. We had the right relationships. We can get in and out of these properties, and so it's what makes sense for us. It maybe doesn't make sense for everybody, but these types of projects definitely make sense for us because it's just, people say it's boring money, but we like that. We like to get in and out and just have a little bit more certainty around what we're doing, instead of some of, there's other methods that we've dabbled in and whatnot. We flip, we have short-term rentals. As you know, there's people that love multifamilies, but this was really something that we found we can really dig our feet in and make it work for us.
Yeah. When's the last duplex conversion or triplex conversion you guys have complete?
Yeah,
we still have some projects ongoing. Yeah, we're still buying.
Exactly. Yeah. The latest one that we're refinancing is the Edmonton fourplex. And yeah, it's been a great challenge. That's probably like the biggest long distance one that we've done. So lots of lessons that have come from that, but the numbers have been incredible from that.
Do you mind sharing a little bit of the fourplex number?
Yeah, absolutely. So we bought that one for $385. So it was less than $100K a door. Renovations are about, originally we thought it was going to be like $170, but we're closer to like $200K.
You should mention those are two side-by-side homes.
Yeah.
Total price. So we got them each for under 200, under 200K.
And that's in Edmonton?
Yeah. In Edmonton.
This is Edmonton. Yeah. Edmonton.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have the numbers here on the side just because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but we bought it for $385, and we put in about $200K of renovations. After renovation value, like we got appraisals, it's coming in around $700K. Nice. We actually bought this like when prices are still we're still fairly high.
When do you guys buy this? Last year, March?
Yeah, pretty much, right? That's when we ended up closing on it.
Was it off-market deal?
It was an off-market deal.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So basically, it's even in these conditions after the market has dipped, it's near perfect BRRRR. I think we're going to end up having in there like just about $20K or so of investment tied into the deal. But that fourplex, we already rented out 2 of the units upstairs, and the ones downstairs are up for rent. It's going to end up being like $5,600 a month in rent.
All 4, right?
All 4. Yeah, exactly. And even at 6.15% interest rate, which is what we have right now, the mortgage is like $3,300. So it's, excluding like utilities and all that, it's like $2,300 to play with. The utilities and property management and insurance and all that, it ends up being about $1,000 or so a month. So it's still cash flows even at these interest rates, like over $1,000 a month. Call it 1,000 if you want to account for extra contingencies.
And you guys going to start building up the reserve for this property. Probably not going to take it out yet. Just building up that reserve, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have other reserves on the side as well. So we can pull it out and just redeploy that capital all over again. We were very conservative throughout the pandemic. So we've maintained about 7% of our portfolio in liquid cash, which some people might say it's excessive.
What's that out to like per unit or per property? Is that about 20K?
It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. Okay. So our portfolio value is about 10 million, over 10 million. And we've held about 7% of it liquid.
That's 700K.
Yeah.
She's very conservative.
Very conservative. We also just wanted to be able to deploy capital for great opportunities as they arose as well, right? So it wasn't just a matter of, I want to have this liquid in case I need to, for some reason all my houses burned down. It was also just wanting to be liquid, to be able to take on other opportunities, right? So yeah, I guess that's one of the things that we're doing now as well with the little one coming. We're looking to deploy that capital in a passive way, well, part of it in a passive way, so that we can continue to scale and focus our energy on what we're passionate about, right? So yeah.
So I know the little one's coming. So you guys are kind of laying low, maintaining and not doing something, not expanding too much for the next 6 months. But if you guys are looking at now, if you guys were like, you know what, we're going to double down right now, what's that strategy? Is that still the bread and butter 1 to 2, 1 to 3, or 2 to 4 unit conversion? Is that still how you guys can go for it?
That's such a great question, Cody. I really think it depends what everybody's journey is like, right? Like for us,
for you guys, we're just talking about you.
For us, just for us. Okay. For us, we're doing a lot of passive stuff. So we've gotten into some first position private lending that gives us a great rate of return and we don't have to do much for.
Do you mind sharing what's first position? How much are you guys getting paid now for a first position private lending?
10% return. We're also very conservative. So like we're not
like, pretty good for first position.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we're only like on the last one that we did, it was only like 30% loan to value. So very, very risk adverse from that perspective, because we understand the environment, obviously, that we've been through. We're also doing some rent to owns. Great cash flow there. We partner with somebody that's managing this out of Sudbury. Great numbers, like cash on cash return above 10% as well. So we're like happy to do that. And you know, in 6 months or so, we're probably going to be doing more active flips and stuff again. I was going to say that too, that, you know, what's really great is that we've never been looking to bring on 100 JVs. You know, we've got a handful of JVs that we love. We provide a great experience for them. They've gotten great returns and they want to repeat with us. And so as long as they want to repeat with us, you know, we're not going to leave those opportunities on the table. And so, yeah, the conversions, they're still going on the side. What Carol and I are passionate about for ourselves is a little bit more on the flip side. We have a lot of fun with that. And you know, anybody that's getting into real estate investing or investing in general, is like, you got to find the fun and the adventure in what you're doing. If it's not fun, it just feels like another job and it feels like you're just being tied down by something. So the flipping part is fun for us. The JV stuff and the conversion, it's just easy and repeatable. And so we like that too. And so that I see us going down that path, but we're certainly going to be taking a little bit of a break and enjoy the family. I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? We do this to take the time, have the time that we want and spend it with our family. And I think we took about 3 months off with our first son, Teo. And so we're probably going to do something similar like that with our daughter coming soon. The other piece there, Cody, to add to that is that one of the things that we found through the journey, which we never thought, you know, when we first started, is that we're extremely passionate and we see how many barriers there are to entry for a lot of people. So we became really passionate along the way in teaching others and make the process a lot easier for others. So we've been spending a lot of time just building ways and systems and, you know, services that can help people overcome those barriers and getting to the market. So, you know, we're doing coaching, so we're still focusing on that. We're also providing financing services. We partner with Synergy Mortgage Group in order to do that. And we're also doing like project management and helping people analyze deals and property finding as well. So that's something that we're going to continue to do while we, you know, deploy our capital to work passively as well.
Yeah. Last thing is we're revamping our website. We want, again, like Carol said, we're very passionate about being of service to people like that. You give and you get to grow. We really believe that. And so we're going to be deploying a new website. We've got tons of free guides coming up and we want to help people that don't know where to start and they feel like they're stuck. So that's definitely part of what we're doing as well, like Carol said.
Yeah, we'll definitely leave all those in the description. You can send it to me afterwards as well. We'll leave it in the description for people to go to if they click if you guys want to learn more. Right. So you guys try flipping. You guys try rent to own. We haven't even talked about the short-term rental. We'll get into that. Each of them all have, and you guys try private lending. So each of them has different, like to me, when I look at things, there's the fast money, not in a bad way. Fast money is quick one. It's more flipping, right? And then you take those profits, you go buy property conversion. That's sort of the middle part, 3 to 6 months, 3 months to 1 year, whatever that is. And then the slow money is kind of the buy and hold and your private lending. Do you guys agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what rental is kind of like more passive as well. Right? As you get more active, you actually want higher return because technically you're taking more risks and putting in more time.
Absolutely.
Right? So it seems like you guys have all the system running at the same time, fast, medium term, long term, right? And I think you guys are well positioned for that. So besides the babies, I know you guys have a coaching system as well, helping people wherever they are. It's kind of more customized. Yes. What else is like getting you guys fired up, right? Maybe we should talk a little bit about the short-term rental stuff. Why do you guys decide to make it more active, and what does that look like? I know we chat a little bit offline, but I want you to introduce to us again.
I'll tell my bit, which is short, and then Brandon, who's been leading this side of the project, can dive deeper into it. Full transparency, to your point, Cody, we're always looking at our portfolio and saying, okay, what's the long-term piece and what's the short-term piece? I don't think a lot of people analyze their portfolio that way, but you need to have both. You need to have an active component and then a short-term component. An active component and a long-term component. And obviously with interest rate hikes, the active component, which we kind of consider that to be cash flow, a lot of that went down significantly, right? So we were looking for different ways to make potentially more income from our properties, but also keeping more, right? So when we were looking at just plain and simply the difference in in tax rates when you're looking at short-term rentals versus long-term rentals, if you're doing it through a corporation, I mean, 50% versus 12.5%, that's a big difference, right? So we decided to give that a try, and now I'll pass it over to Brandon to tell that story.
Well, yeah, no, and I was going to say that the biggest piece here is that we definitely looked at the taxes, right? Like how can we benefit and leverage from some of these opportunities that we're getting into, the active or passive businesses, and like Carol said, you don't need to make more, you just need to keep more, right? And that's what we were certainly aiming for. And yeah, the short-term project was a really fun one. We had a new JV coming on board, and I pitched it to them. I pitched it to Carol. They're very happy with the presentation there, and so they gave me the freedom to go ahead, and it's a duplex in Hamilton, and it's been performing really well. And like we were saying, in the winter months, in the slower months, you're
sharing like the long-term rental up and down. How much are you guys getting before you guys start this?
Sure.
Yeah, about $4,300 a month.
So up, let's say, I don't know, 2,500, down 1,800.
Yeah, 2,300 upstairs and 2,000 in the basement.
Nice. And that's in 2023 or 2022?
That 2022.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now fast forward to now. Short term, is it up and down all Airbnb or just basement, or how do you guys do it?
It's just the basement. So the basement right now, when we first launched, which was, I believe in August of last year, we were bringing in about $4,500 a month. And that was like without having super host status. So we haven't gone through another summer of that, but you're basically getting, double plus the tax advantages, right? So, and then throughout the winter, it's been just basically in and around I think the lowest month we had was like $1,500. And then every other month it's been like $2,400 or so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in the slow season, it performs around, typically what a long-term rental would. But yes, like Carol was saying, in the summer, and we're already seeing it right now. So during the slow season, we weren't getting booked out until about 2 weeks before somebody wanted to stay. And that's something that just as a new person getting into Airbnb, you really have to get comfortable with. Right. We knew things were going to be slow, and it was like that first month of it being slow, we got a little bit of a shock, but then we realized, okay, this is normal, and this is the pace we need to be running at. And so, we just made sure that we were doing all the right things, creating the right experiences, guest communication, making sure that you're get back to your guests within an hour, making sure that cleaning is spotless, like everything that you need to. This is now a hospitality business, right? It's no longer a investment model. It's hospitality. Yeah. Like imagine like when you go to a hotel or anywhere, a resort, and what the experience is like for you, you almost have to replicate that. Right. And so our cleaner does a nice job, makes the swans on the bed, a little rose on the toilet paper there. But it's really comes down to the systems and strategies you have in place. And so guest communications, like I said, the cleaners and all of that comes down to the experience. Like it didn't come without any challenges. We were talking offline about I couldn't get my Bluetooth lock to work, and somebody was checking in late, and I had to go there and put up a lockbox. But what we're seeing is outstanding right now. The way it's performing, we're booked up all the way until close to June, and then we've got July and August bookings already. And this is at the peak price, and so we're looking forward to a really great summer here. And if you are looking at getting into Hamilton or in that area, most of the people that are staying at our Airbnb, they find that it's a really great middle point between Niagara Falls and Toronto. We also have a lot of people visiting family there. And as anybody who's an investor in Hamilton knows, there's lots of renovations, lots of construction going on as well. And so we also have people that are staying there while the renovations are being done at their home. So a wide variety of guests from France, from Spain, from Vietnam, lots of great people to meet. And so if you like that, if you want to get into that hospitality business, it's been fun. I don't think it'd be for Carol. It's more something geared more towards my liking.
Yeah. Again, it's the difference between long-term and passive versus active. Like this is very active. So I think people need to take the successes with a grain of salt, because I think sometimes people hear these amazing stories and they're like, wow, okay, I want to do that. It's like, okay, but does it align with what you want to actually achieve and the time that you have at your disposal as well?
I know I'm probably going to throw you guys a curveball here. Have you guys checked with your accountant in terms of, I know you guys haven't sold this short-term rental property, but is there a concern of paying HST when you guys sell this?
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a gray area, because I don't think the Airbnb world has been around for investors for too long, or at least it hasn't been super popular. But what a lot of accountants recommend is just, if you do have a long-term rental agreement in place, say, between, for example, if you're doing arbitrage, that arbitrager is paying you long-term rent, then typically you would not be considered to be in the hospitality business itself, right? It's the arbitrager that is, and the arbitrager doesn't own the house, either like as a beneficiary or like isn't actually on title either. So technically the owner of the house never ran that property as a hospitality business. And for that reason, they wouldn't have to pay HST. Now, this is not accounting advice by any means, but that is kind of what a lot of people recommend. And it seems to be what has worked for most people. But again, I don't think we've been around long enough for the CRA to really dispute that too much. So I think we'll find out in a couple of years how effective that strategy is. I
mean, so far it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you kind of pay the management company, we're active corp, long-term rent, right? Hey, you're renting out for long-term. Okay, guess what? The active company can do whatever they want with it. And that's not me. That doesn't own the property, but you guys own the property, or your corp owns the property. So when you sell it, the corp is selling it, right? Exactly. So
I think the trick there is to make sure that whatever long-term rent they're paying you is reasonable, right? Because if a property typically rents for $2,000 and your long-term rent is only $500, then I think they can dispute that relationship from the get-go. Because it's like, why would you rent this for somebody for $500, right? So just something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, there's a give and take, right? You want to get paid more, maybe for the qualification on the mortgage purpose, but at the same time, you're paying more tax on that.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
But if it's active income, hey, it's 12.5%. So even if it's 10,000 more per year, that's still 1.25K. But if you can qualify more, again, you guys do all the math.
Yeah,
some people want to be driving.
Exactly.
We're going to go down the rabbit hole now. We're like, we can
nerd it out as long as we want. But
so yeah, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But throughout this journey, if we could keep it real for all our audience, have you guys run into any like the worst moment, like since 2019? Like, is there any of those experiences? So kind of,
you know what? Real? There's been a lot of different stories. And it's funny, in the moment, they feel like the worst thing ever. But in hindsight, and I try to remind myself of that anytime a challenge comes now, because like when you go through so many of them, you look back and you're like, okay, but what has been a challenge that I haven't been able to overcome?
Right.
And you can't really think of any, but there have been a ton of terrible things. Like we've had tenant suicides, we've had leaks that have happened. Like again, we went through that first economic cycle with COVID where we sold a property, and yeah, we made some money, but then somebody else went and sold it for $300K more.
Like 4 months later, or
like 4 months later. Yeah.
That money I could have had.
I
Right?
know, right? It hurts. So like all those things are painful. We've had, very difficult tenants to deal with. We've had renovation delays, which can be super stressful. But we're highly optimistic, and we really look at all those as lessons and things that you need to put in place. So I think the only reason it shocks you is because you've never been through it, and so you don't have a system in place. But every time you go through those challenges, you come up with different things that you can do to be better, and hence why our very, very cushioned, I guess, liquid account at all times, right? That's what allows us to sleep at night. So like now, if there's a delay with a contractor, okay, that sucks. And, it's extra holding costs, but I'm not losing sleep over it because I have the systems in place that allow me to continue to operate and not lose sleep over it. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, like I remember that first project that took 8 months, like I was livid because I'm like, every month it's like $2,000, but then you refinance all your money out and you do it again, and then you just kind of forget about it. Like you don't remember that.
Is that the legal
part.
duplex conversion?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was right when the pandemic hit. So like only 5 tradespeople would go in at a time, but the electrician didn't want to be there if the plumber was there because they don't know the plumber.
Yeah.
And so like everything, like we would choose the tile and then they'd go pick it up. Oh, that one's out. Okay, go to our second choice. Okay, well, that one's out. And then they had like our contractor actually drove 2 hours to go look for a piece of tile because every time we chose,
he got there and the warehouse was shut down.
The warehouse shut down because they had a COVID outbreak.
So anyways, tons of different challenges. I think, you almost have to walk into this expecting it, and having the right systems in place to allow you to navigate through that. At any given point, we would ask ourselves, am I going to take on this project? And is this something I'm going to lose sleep over? Or is this decision something I'm going to lose sleep over? And if the answer is yes, then we're not doing it, right? No matter how profitable that project might seem. And that's sometimes a really hard thing to do, right? Because you can see the numbers and you know that they work and you're just like, but there's so many other components to that I just don't want to take on, right? And hence, for example, like our reasoning behind not going into large multifamilies, like that's a personal decision. The tenant issues that we've dealt with really
you
felt
talking a little bit about that and how you guys solved that. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I might have one coming up.
Yeah. So the tenant suicide that we had, it happened outside of our unit. The tenant had given us notice that he was moving out, but I guess he was going through some mental issues. We noticed it on him, like in his physical appearance, like he didn't
look like the same guy when we rented it out.
Yeah, exactly.
People can change, right? Everyone could change.
It was crazy.
Life happens, right?
Yeah.
So we totally understand that.
But anyways, the guy was supposed to move out. I'm just giving you the short story. And we couldn't get a hold of him. And like we had cleaners that were supposed to go in and
get it ready.
Take care of the
realtors that were going to go in, get pictures.
And we couldn't get a hold of the guy. And so we called the police because we were genuinely concerned about like what was going on for his well-being, just because like the last time we spoke to him, he's like, I can't even remember what he said, but anyways, just
something not normal.
He seemed very distraught.
Normal, yeah.
And then the police went in, they couldn't find him at all. But then we got a call the next day that he had committed suicide at a park nearby. So that was, I mean, it was more like an emotional thing to deal with, right? Just because obviously you never want to hear about those types of situations. And you always wonder, what could he have done for this person? Yeah, exactly. Right. Because again, we did notice things in his appearance and things like that, but like nothing that would say, okay, well, this guy's going to do this. Right. So anyway, so that
it was never a problem tenant, paid, like everything. It was just when we saw him, when we went at the end of the tenancy, we went to go do a quick tour of the property, see what kind of work we needed, like, if we needed to paint or clean it, whatever it was. Yeah. And that's when he just didn't look like the same guy. And I think the biggest struggle was just coordinating with his family, right? Like we did not want to just grab his stuff and throw it in the garbage. Like that's so inhumane. Yeah. So coordinating with his family, being empathetic to what they're going through as well, and not trying to rush them to come and grab his stuff. That was something that we were navigating, and you just you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and I think if you lead with empathy, you're going to be able to get out on top. And it's just we like Carol said, we didn't freak out about the stuff. Just what can we do to help and make this a little bit easier for his family that was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Outside of that, like we've had just difficult tenants that didn't take care of properties and stuff like that. Our motto has been, we never like to do business with people that don't want to do business with us. And we apply that to tenants. So, they kept complaining about different things. And we're like, you know what, at the end of the day, you're supposed to be here for a year, but like, if you want to leave, just leave. Cause like, we're doing everything that we can to make you happy. And this is not working out. And then there was another situation where we bought a property. This is probably one of the most challenging ones, from like an actual like legal perspective. We bought a property. It was supposed to be vacant. And for different legal reasons, we had to inherit the tenant. And that's been a very challenging process, which is still ongoing. So we'll let you know how that one ends up. But again,
is the tenant paying anything?
Yeah, they're paying. Okay. They're paying very low rent. They're not taking care of the property. We're constantly getting notices from the city about, issues with the property that they're doing and all that stuff. So, but at the end of the day, we have a great paralegal that's handling all of that. They're the ones that go to court. And again, that's where the reserves become very handy because it's frustrating, but we're happy to let somebody else
let the expert take care of that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if it's supposed to be vacant and there's still tenants in there, you guys are probably getting compensated when you guys take over, things like that too, right? I hope. Because
depends on the legal position, but in this case, unfortunately not.
Okay.
Luckily, we got that property for really, really great value. So even after the market dipped, like it's still great. So, again,
we're going through our process there.
Exactly. And we just look at like the final picture and just, at the end of the day, this will get addressed. One day it's going to be something like all the other challenges that we face. It's going to be something that we're going to look at and just be like, oh yeah, this happened. It's not something that breaks you. Right. And I think that's what scares a lot of people into getting into real estate. They think, it's too scary dealing with tenants and it is the first time, but if you have the right teams in place, if you have the right support system, like you do overcome it, and the benefits of overcoming those challenges, like you're getting paid for. So it's worth it every time, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just that. I know it sounds scary, but I'm telling my fiance every time, like she's more like conservative, operational style. I'm more like, like pushing it, growing it. So there's a constant conversation. We just have a chat when we're walking our dog, and she look at me after 10 minutes, be like, "Do you want to open up another YouTube channel just to talk about all this?" You should be a motivational speaker for this kind of stuff. I think there's that, like, I can definitely see the inner courage, and a lot of time you don't know where that courage comes from, but I think that really comes from solving a lot of small issues to the bigger issues. And every time you solve it, you give yourself a bit more confidence, or you become happier too. So I think that's really what I found, that where my confidence comes from, not from the house I own, not from the car I drive, not from how much money I make, but it's that knowing that whatever comes up, I'll be able to solve it, or I will find ways to solve it. And that's
exactly it. Right. Oh my gosh, Cody, I love how you position that. And I always use this analogy. So I'm a big scaredy cat, so very conservative. I went rafting with Brandon one year in the Ottawa River, and it was
we were there. We were there 2 years ago. Oh my god, we almost flipped. Oh my gosh,
it's scary.
We were at the smallest raft. We went with the company of the smallest one.
I love that.
Did you flip?
The 6 people.
Did you flip?
No, you're like, okay, guys, who can swim? They're like voting, right? Who can swim? Who cannot swim? And Claudette raises her hand and like, I cannot swim. I'm like, okay, just so you know, if you get drowned, we're not going to save you for it. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I can swim. They're afraid that you're going to pull them, right?
Yeah.
So they're afraid that people can swim and then come to save you. I'm like,
Yeah.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But just going back to your point there, like I was so terrified of the water the entire time. And then our raft flipped over and I realized, okay, you eventually come out on top and you're fine. Yeah. And it wasn't until I fell out of the raft that I finally overcame the fear of rafting. Mind you, if you were to ask me again, I'd still get a little nervous about it.
Again, but
the green room. Do you guys hear about the green room? Yeah.
No, what was that?
If you guys go in the water, like some part of it, you will be down there for 10, 15 seconds. So
We saw that. Yeah. We saw that. Yeah.
A good breath, but prepare to be down there for 15 seconds. Then you will fall out eventually. So, anyway.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But to your point, right? Like investing is the same thing. You can do all the courses that you want. You can do all the, YouTube training that you want. But until you get that hands-on experience, you're not going to get the confidence that you need because you need to make mistakes. You need to, or at the very minimum, work with people who have made those mistakes that can help you navigate that environment. Otherwise, you're always going to be afraid. And again, I just really equate that to that experience. So I 100% agree with you. Like you get the confidence from being out there and doing the work, not just watching YouTube videos, because it's very different. Learning somebody else's experience that way, right? So
no project goes according to plan either.
No.
You're going to have a challenge in one way or another, big or small. You're going to face something. So be ready for that.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate all that. Let's go into our fire round. I can ask you a few questions, but I'm just going to ask you one question. If you guys somehow lose it all, I know, God forbid, it don't happen because you guys already have one kid. And Carol's super pregnant, but that's say if you guys lose it all the properties, all the money, but we drop you with $500,000. What will you guys do to start over again right now?
Honestly, probably the same thing, right? Again, because you can lose it all physically, but you don't lose the knowledge that we've gained, right? And I think for us, the BRRRR method, duplex conversions, or like multifamily conversions has been our bread and butter. We've been very successful with that. We look at, different markets to make sure that, that fits within our budget and we can still comfortably operate with all the challenges that arise and just do it all over again. Right.
Yeah. I'll add a little something to that though. I would invest in myself one way or another, whether that's through coaching or mentorship. But just because you failed once doesn't mean that you're a failure. Right. You learn from these lessons. And so if we were to lose it all, like I would just do it again. But it's like, what did I do that made me lose it all? Okay, let's not do that again. So I think you just got to learn from your mistakes. But if we didn't have the knowledge of, we just had 500K and we're just like, what do we do? I would invest in myself, learn what I want to do, learn what I think is fun, and then hire somebody to kind of teach me that or guide me through that experience.
I feel like you only truly lose if you give up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the end of your journey, and you left your journey at a loss,
Great
right?
Point.
So,
great point.
Next question: if you guys are a podcast host, who you guys want to interview?
Ooh, that's a good one.
For me, it wouldn't be anybody in real estate. So
wouldn't be.
No,
or
go
would
ahead.
be?
Go ahead.
No, it wouldn't be. I'm a huge. I got to say, I'm a huge like Ed Milet fan. I listen to pretty much every single episode that he's got out there. And so I really connect with his message, how he engages me as an audience member. And so, yeah, I'd love to sit down with him.
I'll probably see him in a month. Yeah. I'll be in Miami and he's going to be there at a conference I'll be at. So
I've been looking to go to one of his conferences. Yeah. Maybe I'll talk to you about that after.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to go
drop
that
my name,
route,
Cody, let him know I want to talk to him.
If we're going to go that route, then I'm going to say Tony Robbins.
Well, I was thinking Tony Robbins or Ed Milet. Yeah. Those are two guys that I think I can learn a ton from. And so I want to soak up all that knowledge myself.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, this has been a pleasure. You guys seem like young couple, maybe early 30s, I'm saying.
Yeah,
late 20s.
Yeah. Good guess.
Okay.
I hit mid 30s, so I'm getting older.
Okay, I'm leaving it there. The takeaway is there's really no age limits. It's all kind of in your brain. And of course, you're at a different stage and there's different journey to follow. But as long as you keep improving every day, you will get to where you want to be. So really such a pleasure to have you guys on a Good Friday. And thanks for coming on. And thanks for sharing all the real experience and some of the things I never heard about. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so much for having us, Cody. This was such a pleasure connecting with you. And I'm glad that you and I met a couple months ago. And I'm sure there's going to be lots more conversations for us to come.
Yeah, well, go follow Brandon, go follow Carol, and we'll drop all the links in the description wherever you want to lead people to. Okay. Thanks again for coming on. And I'll see you guys, listeners, on the next one.
All the links mentioned in this episode are included in the show notes. And if you love this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple iTunes. The link is also included in the show notes. And we would really appreciate your help in spreading the word to more high income earners on how they too can maximize both their time and money.
Also, if you still haven't joined our High Income Earners Facebook group, you are missing out on High Income Earners community where we help each other reach our own version of FIRE.